Hey guys, I'm 32 female and I've been married to my husband Dean for 2 years and I'm currently pregnant with his twins. We've always had a rough relationship and struggled to stay together, but it's just gotten worse ever since I found out I was pregnant. I don't know what to do, so I've come here for advice, and I do suspect Dean has been cheating on me. Most probably with his personal assistant, Melody. I don't have any sort of proof, just suspicions. I don't know how to catch them in the act either. It's just an overwhelming hunch. Am I being paranoid? How should I even proceed without straight up confronting him? Let me begin from the very start of it all. So basically, Dean and I met in college and we hated each other's guts. Eventually, he admitted that he was treating me terribly because he resented me for having a boyfriend already. After I broke up, he realized he was jealous, but he did not want to treat me badly anymore. We got off to a rocky start, but it worked out, and we got married 2 years ago after many years of dating and 3 years of living together. After Dean started working at this job, he started giving it his all, leaving a lot of pressure on me to keep up with my job and keep the house habitable at the same time. I always was very willing to have a house helper to help with things, but he thought it was an unnecessary expense. So I had to balance things, which barely left me with energy. Things got slightly worse when Dean got promoted. With his promotion came a need for a personal assistant, and that's where Melody came in. Melody has often visited our home and has been this weirdly possessive thing about Dean. It's incredibly strange. She moves Dean's stuff on his desk, goes into our kitchen and grabs water for Dean without asking, and basically just hovers around him like a wife. Now, maybe they're just in tune, and since they're together all the time, they, have their own system. But it still irks me that their codependency is beyond professional. It's really weird. That was what sent off red flags in my head, but again, they might just be compatible in their workspace, that they don't need to communicate to know what the other wants. So, guys, back to the story. We weren't trying for children. Both of our schedules, we had decided we would hold off having kids until we were both financially capable of slowing down our career trajectories. So when we found out that I was pregnant, it came as a shock to us. A pleasant shock, but a shock nevertheless. Or so I thought. Dean made it very evident with his actions that he was extremely unhappy about this. But he's pro-life, so he also denied terminating it. I was happy about having kids, but for some weird reason it felt like a door closing. I guess it was my being unsure about Dean and knowing it would be difficult to leave him once I had a kid. Anyways, after we found out about my pregnancy, Dean became extremely distant and cold. We stopped sharing intimate moments, but that's all the pregnancy changed. He didn't cut back his office hours, help around the house, or take care of me any more than usual. Can't a girl expect some special treatment during her pregnancy? Jeez. Well, when we found out that they were twins, Dean completely lost it. We had an argument about finances and the pressures of raising 2 children. I had said right then and there that it was his choice to not get rid of it, because I had offered to get one if he felt like he would not be able to work out a balance between raising his newborn and work. How is it my fault I'm pregnant? Worse, how is it my fault that we had twins? Come on! Well, after the fight, we were very much done talking to each other. I still expected him to help around and simply take care of me. Go baby shopping, help me baby-proof the house, and even throw a baby shower, dang! But he did nothing. In fact, when I offered to arrange it all by myself, all he had to do was show up. He still told me not to have the party. I ended up not having a baby shower because he didn't want one. Things just kept getting weirder, and I was invited by Dean's boss to their Christmas office right there at their house. And when I arrived, she was astonished to find out that I was pregnant. She informed me that Dean had not even mentioned that he had a child on the way. Yeah, apparently their company has very accommodating policies for paternity leaves and for fathers in general. Dean had told me specifically that his boss was the one keeping him in the office late, but his boss came off and remarked Dean used to work overtime quite a lot. Actually, but now he doesn't anymore. So this is the lovely reason why. I'm glad he's helping with the pregnancy, and if you need anything, just let us know. See, this raised several alarms to me. And when I went to look for Dean at the said party, I couldn't find him or Melody. I ended up driving myself home with the car that I brought, and Dean came in the early stages of the morning, mad that I made him take a cab ride home, extremely drunk too. I made all my doctor visits alone, baby-proofed the house alone, cooked and cleaned all while Dean was still pulling overtime night after night. You see, at that point, I just knew something in my heart somewhere that he was not in love with me anymore. And that might have led him astray, but I was strongly in denial because I didn't want to have a baby with a guy who wasn't completely invested in me, our children, and our lives ahead. But there I was, having two. By the 7th month, I was incapable of going to work, so I decided I needed to start with my maternity leave. Thankfully, it was paid, so I was able to buy nice things to help myself, like maternity clothes and heating pads and nice body pillows. Because when I brought these things up with Dean, he said that we needed to save up for when the baby actually came, instead of buying stuff that would only be used temporarily. Guys, honestly, I could wear these maternity clothings for the rest of my life. They're just so comfortable. Anyways, once I began my maternity leave, everything just became so much more clear for me. His behavior was extremely gross towards me. I just never noticed it fully before because I was always too busy to dwell on it. The probable cheating is devastating for me. It's not just the betrayal and the general cruel behavior that cuts into me, but the sheer timing of all of it. Being pregnant with twins is supposed to be like a time of joy, and it's supposed to fix my marriage, but I'm struggling with all of these awful suspicions that my husband is being literally anything except a good husband. The looming betrayal, it makes me feel isolated and, abandoned. And all it's doing is piling onto my physical, emotional exhaustion. I'm constantly questioning myself, wondering if I'm paranoid or if I'm right. And I really don't know what's worse at this point. The thought that Dean might be sharing his love and time with some other chick, especially while I'm carrying his kid, is an unbearable weight on my already overtime heart. So, now I'm in my final trimester, and I'm scared that my children will not have a full, present father in their lives. I'm scared that I won't have a husband soon, and I'm scared that he's cheating on me. What if he is? What should I even do? I hope everything works out, man. I hope a hunch is all it is. Even if he's not cheating, we have huge issues, but those are resolvable. Infidelity is beyond saving. I hope our marriage can be saved. Anyways, so I need advice on here. Do y'all think he's cheating, and how should I try and find out? What should I do if he is? Please let me know. Update number 1. Hey guys, I know it's been quite a few days since my initial post, and I'm back with an update. Spoiler alert, I was right about my hunch. Dean did not show up when I broke my water and had to be rushed to the hospital. He didn't answer any of my calls or texts, even though his office hours had ended 3 hours before I called. I had to call a cab, and if it weren't for the kindness of the cab driver, I don't know how I would have managed. I went into labor pretty quick, and went through the grueling procedure all alone. Dean ended up missing the birth of our beautiful twins and only visited me 5 hours after I've given birth. He claimed that it was because his phone was do not disturb, and his boss refused to let them leave until the meeting was over. I just shrugged it off again, but that was a huge mistake because, was I wrong? Let me tell you guys what exactly happened before I gave birth to my twins, to which my stupid husband did not show up for. So right before my pregnancy, I informed Dean that my due date was nearing and that I needed him on alert at all times. He exactly responded quite ecstatically on this one and told me he didn't want to miss the birth of his twins. For a second, I second-guessed myself. What if I was just thinking too much about it? And he wasn't actually participating in infidelity. He seemed so happy in that moment, and in hindsight, I was clearly just grasping at straws to save my marriage and provide my children with a stable household and 2 fully present parents that love each other. Dean actually came back home on time, on my due date. But how is it with these pregnancies? You can't guess everything. Not exactly. And almost nothing goes according to a plan. But my labor pains started on the very next day. I called him to let him know that my water broke, and I was in no state to drive to the hospital all by my lonesome. But he didn't answer. I called, I texted, but then I realized that waiting too long could be detrimental to the delivery. I called an Uber. The driver actually came to the door and helped me down the stairs. See, they helped me carry all the hospital stuff to the car. A saint of a man, I swear. He drove me to the hospital where my doctor was waiting for me, and he made sure that I got all my stuff to the hospital room and I left. I thought of ditching Dean and asking the Uber dude's hand in marriage right at that moment, although it might have just been the hormones and the delirium due to being sleepless and in pain. I was surprisingly in labor for barely any time, and while it was gruesome, it was quick. I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl in the middle of the night. I called Dean after the birth, just to let him know, but he did not answer then. I just shot him a quick text that the twins are out and that he could drop by the hospital if it were to his convenience. You know, just in case he wanted to be there for the initial hours of the lives of his offspring. 5 hours. He came 5 damn hours after the birth, and he said that his phone was on D&D. So he did not find out through his meeting. What meeting is at 11 p.m.? You know, I shrugged it off, because surely he would not betray me, and rather spend his time elsewhere than in the hospital with his newborn girls. Right? Wrong. Once I got discharged from the hospital, I came back home to an absolute mess. Someone clearly wasn't cleaning after himself. So, I set the kids down to sleep. They woke up every 30 minutes and cleaned stuff up. Then I saw a folder of Dean's laptop while putting it back on his desk, and I opened it. And there it was, hundreds of pictures with Melody. I opened the most recent one, and they were at a club. The timestamp indicated that it was during my labor, and he had his phone in his hand, and the screen was literally lit up with my face and call screen. It was a sick and cruel irony. He knew about me being in the hospital, but he chose to spend the time of the birth of his children with this woman. It made me gag. I had to do something about this, because I've been wronged, and hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I need revenge, but I'm so stuck here. What do? How do I take revenge? I mean, how can I ruin his life without doing anything illegal? I'm just so confused and frustrated, but I'm definitely going to do something. I haven't done anything yet, but I will soon. What do you guys think that I can do to take him down? Update number 2. Hey guys, so I took revenge. You're gonna love this. A quick search of Melody's Facebook let me know that she was also married to a Matt. So I called him, and now we plan to exact our revenge together. When I called him, he sounded extremely tough and scary, and I let him know that I was Dean's wife. I told him I needed to meet with him. So we met, and I showed him every bit of the imaging, all the pictures, and explained the entire situation at hand. I told him that a divorce was not enough. I simply needed revenge. Well, Matt, he's a genius. We planned for ages and ages, and we needed a sort of revenge that would not reach Dean and Melody's workplace. And there's a very huge reason for this, actually. Now, look, I make quite a bit of good money on my own. But with twins and everything, I don't think I can take on as much work as I used to and still care for them all by myself. So I was thinking I could reduce my workload and get alimony in the form of one huge time payment. So I could invest and increase the money to ensure security for their futures. Now, Dean's workplace has an extremely strict policy against office romance and stuff like that. Well, they get immediately terminated if anybody finds out. If he loses his job before our divorce, I might not get the money I need to raise my kids. And I think I deserve this. Since I know that he's going to be the worst, least present father to ever exist. At least he could financially support us till I can get back on my feet, right? I mean, it's only fair. So we made the plan so no one from his office would ever find out. Okay, so basically there was a party for Matt's birthday, right? And he got Melody to invite Dean and me too, so that he could meet the person she spent so much time with. So we got a babysitter for Macy and Clara, my twins, and we headed to their house for the party. So what we did was we had a slideshow of the two of them kept later for the evening, so the whole family would know what a witch Melody is. And as for Dean, I had a worse fate planned. So the entire family saw Melody in compromising positions with her boss, yay! The one thing that I don't understand about the cheater is, why would they take pictures of them cheating? I mean, it's evidence. Like, why would you expose yourself like that? It doesn't really make much sense to me. Why would you create the evidence? But then again, you're stupid enough to cheat, so anything that requires common sense would be out of your grasp. So the whole family cussed her out and left, vowing to never see her dumb face again. It was actually so funny. She cried her eyes out and kept hitting Matt, saying he ruined her life and her family would hate her forever now. But he could not stop laughing. You would expect the pair to have some shame at this point, but oh no, they didn't. Well, now that Dean and I knew, he brought Melody home. Where's the integrity? Where's the shame? At least don't bring the other woman into our home like that. It absolutely infuriated me. So I did the best that I could. I called up his father and older brother. Both of them are big ex-military guys. Tall, strict, extremely protective, you name it. I sobbed a little extra on the phone just to make them mad as I could, and boy, were they upset. They came home, drank their glasses of water, and got straight up to beating up Dean. They yelled at him so much and gave him a black eye. Honestly, by the end, looking at him after the guys left, I almost felt bad for doing it. But hey, they were to find out someday or the other, right? You know, it was a little funny, I admit, to see him limping around, and gosh, I hate him so much. Well, Matt and I both filed for divorce, and Melody's not getting anything from Matt because she has a source of income on her own property, and no responsibilities other than herself. They signed a prenup before the marriage because Melody wanted to protect her generational assets. But now that's all she has. I, on the other hand, am aiming to get a massive alimony payout. I mean, I'm not completely emptying his bank account, but it's a mini fortune for me. Enough so I can invest, though, that my kids can get through college out of his money in the first place. Update number 3. Hi guys, it's been a few months and I'm back with another update. So before the finalization of our divorce, Dean's boss kind of found out about the whole thing via rumors. Since Melody has also gotten a divorce right before Dean, so it was awfully suspicious. And she decided to call me to confirm whether or not there was a relationship between Dean and Melody outside professional ties. I confirmed her suspicions, but we talked for quite a bit, with her congratulating me on my newborn girls and cussing Dean out in the same breath. Anyways, I managed to convince her to hold on to the termination of their jobs until the divorce was finally over. It didn't really take much pushing. It didn't. She said she fully supports me and wants to help me as much as possible. It was actually so wholesome to experience the power of the female kinship. I respect her a lot for waiting. So the divorce was over at all the legal hurdles, and I actually got more than I asked for. After that one Uber drive testified against him for me, the driver, since Dean refused to admit he neglected me during my pregnancy, the judge was disgusted by his aggressive behavior. And it was just helping my case. Family court is less tiring and more dramatic than you would expect it to be. So after the divorce was over, I let Dean's boss know, and she immediately gave him his 3-month notice. Melody was also given her termination letter. It was actually hilarious, because his boss kept me on calling when Dean stormed into her cabin and pleaded with her to let him on longer, as he had just suffered a huge financial loss. She told him he should not have cheated, then he would still have his job. I mean, she's not lying. His money, his wife, and his kids. His choices ended up with him losing everything, and it was so funny to hear him beg after he treated me so harshly all these years. To see him on the other side of the conversation, I mean, he was choking up and near tears. Usually I was the one doing that. I felt guilty for a second, but then I remembered that it was his own doing. While I was the one who set the wheels for revenge in motion, relations with someone from his office was his choice. And he was the one who went against the policy, you know. And now he's suffering, and I am so glad. I thought I would feel bad, knowing what a pitiful condition that he's actually in, but no. This reminds me of this one German word, which means the pleasure of satisfaction derives from one person's misfortune or suffering. When I heard him near tears, I sort of felt a sense of satisfaction and straight-up vindication. And I believe that his job loss was the form of karma or justice for his past actions. What do you think? I might be morally questionable, but he treated me like I was nothing. Now he's nothing, so I'm happy. I feel good. Okay, bye, guys. Final updates. Hey guys, well, it's me, and it's been a long time since I last posted, and I thought that I would update you on what's been going on these past few years. So good news! First, I have a boyfriend who's been helping me take care of my toddlers, Macy and Clara. He's a great man, great man. He loves and respects me, and he would never ever hurt me or the kids. See, the kids love him, they do, and they're both doing amazing right now. Yeah, they can walk and talk now, so that's the good news. Okay, now the funny news. I won't even say bad because it's not bad for me. It's absolutely hilarious to me. I'm still amazed, having these friends, with Matt, who's married to my best friend Leia. I've always been the Cupid, I can't help it. So from what I've heard, Dean lost his other job too, over some stupid fight, a brawl, and Melody had to start working so that her head stayed above the water. Well, Melody became some other super rich guy's PA. You know what that means. History repeats itself. She left Dean for her rich boss, who was fortunately single. So she wasn't breaking yet another family, but last I heard, he left her when he realized that she was using him for his money. So she's now on her own. No Dean, no rich man, and she has a poor education, so she's going to stay a PA for the rest of her life, with no chance of a lavish lifestyle. Probably not even a PA, because her reputation is so tarnished at this point that nobody wants to even hire her anymore. Suits her right. Dean is still not able to get another job, one that pays well at least, and even with his only himself to take care of, he's not been doing very okay. He came to my house a year or two ago. He tried to fix things with me, guys. Sat me down, told me that letting me leave was the biggest mistake he's ever made. I argued that putting his body parts in places they did not belong seemed arguably worse, but my dig did not deter him. He kept trying to ask me back to go with him, to give things another shot, but I simply laughed in his face. That's what I did. Then my boyfriend came home and showed him the door. Dean was startled, but I don't think he wants to get beaten up ever again, so he left quietly. These days, he barely comes to take the kids, but the kids don't really mind because my boyfriend keeps them very, very happy.